Hey everyone, it's Mallory here with Cats.com, where we're all about cats. In the past, I've talked about cats of many different colors and with different pigments in their coat, but what about cats who don't have any pigment at all? In this video, I want to talk about cats with white coats. There's something incredibly distinctive and special about a white cat. They are relatively rare, making up about 5% of the feline population. And there are a lot of really interesting things about them genetically that have fascinated biologists for decades. So first off, whiteness can appear in many different breeds as well as non-purebred cats. So cats of all kinds can show up in white. In cats, a white coat comes from a particular allele of the KIT gene, and it is referred to as W or dominant white, and it's called an epistatic gene. An epistatic gene is a type of gene that inhibits the presentation of another gene in the body. And in this case, this particular gene prevents the cat from developing pigment. So even though this cat might have the gene for orange pigment in their coat, it's suppressed by this dominant white gene. Because this gene is a masking gene that's suppressing another one, many white cats actually have an underlying color and pattern. You just can't see it. And genetically, they have this built in. So when they end up having kittens, you might find that about 50% of a white cat's kittens have some other coat color. It all depends on which combination of color genes they got. Additionally, some cats are only partially white, and this is due to a white spotting gene versus the dominant white gene. And this is a gene that causes what is referred to as piebalding, which is a phenomenon where certain parts of the body end up not being pigmented and other parts of the body do receive that pigment, and it will form into different groups of patterns across the body. Interestingly, some cats who have the white spotting gene instead of the dominant white gene will end up looking completely white, but generally you'll notice a little smudge of color on their forehead, especially as kittens. So look closely at your cat to figure out if they have the white spotting gene or if they have that dominant white gene. Now, where this gets really interesting is the fact that the gene that causes a white coat does other things in the body. So for one, it increases their chances of having blue eyes, which is referred to as hypopigmentation, kind of a lack of pigment in the eyes. And secondly, it increases their chances of deafness, which is absolutely fascinating. This is something that has perplexed and intrigued people for a long time. Why is it that white cats are more likely to be deaf? This is a phenomenon that shows up not only in white cats, but in other white animals, especially those with blue eyes. As it turns out, the exact mechanism here is unclear. We're not exactly sure how this gene affects the ear, but we do know that this particular gene has an effect on both the ears and the eyes, as well as the coat. And it's such a consistent effect that up to 60 to 80% of all white cats with two blue eyes are deaf. Interestingly, the deafness will typically affect the side of the face that has a blue eye. So for instance, if a cat has one blue eye and one orange eye, the side with the blue eye is usually the side that is deaf. This is where that dominant white gene is affecting the body in multiple ways at once. Kind of circling back to the earlier point about white cats and blue eyes, this eye color is more common in white cats than cats of other colors. Again, this comes down to the inhibition of pigmentation in the body. So it is more likely that a white cat is going to lack pigment in the eyes compared to cats of other colors. However, white cats can come in a variety of eye colors, including orange and green, and these cats of other eye colors tend to be less likely, again, to be deaf. Additionally, white cats are more likely than cats of other colors to have heterochromia, which is where one eye is a different color than the other. Again, this comes down to the fact that they are more likely to experience hypopigmentation and lack pigment on the tapetum lucidum, which is that reflective surface in the eye. And my last fact about white cats is that there is a difference between an albino cat and a solid white cat. They're completely genetically different. So even though you will sometimes see people referring to regular white cats as albinos and perhaps vice versa, there is a very clear distinction. So albinism is a condition that comes from a specific variety of genetic mutations, and it affects the cat differently. So it inhibits pigmentation in the body, It's going to also lead to white skin, no pigmentation in the skin, as well as no pigmentation in the eyes. And these cats will, if they have full albinism, have pink eyes rather than blue or any other color. They're generally visually distinct from regular solid white cats, and they tend to experience a variety of other health issues as a result. So, for instance, they tend to be more sensitive to the sun. This condition follows different genetic patterns. There's different heredity to albinism, so different cat breeds, for instance, are more likely to develop it. So even though they both produce a solid white cat, they're two different things. There's a lot to learn about white cats, and they really are a fascinating bunch. Let me know in the comments if you have a white cat, if they are deaf or not, and what makes them special. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.